Spring had arrived, everything was recovering and the spirit prairie ushered in a growing season. The sun shone on this green grassland and the grass was covered with a faint layer of gold. The spirit prairie was picturesque, everything peaceful and beautiful. On the hillside, a small kangaroo was burying his head to eat the grass. Suddenly, the kangaroo raised his head and looked into the distance. Boom! A monstrous fire sprang up, covering half the sky as it headed toward the hillside. The little kangaroo's eyes widened with horror and he ran away. A black figure leapt up from the back of the hill and hit the ground violently. Tang Mo didn't hesitate after landing on the ground and frantically ran forward. Behind him, the sea of fire soon arrived. Hundreds of prairie animals also tried their best to escape. If someone looked down from the sky, the fire resembled a flood. The animals struggled to escape in the front while the flames rolled in from the rear. The big match of mosaic meant that once something was ignited, the flames would burn, the target affected would burn up. Tang Mo wasn't sure if this fire could really burn the entire spirit prairie, but he couldn't afford to gamble. It was as he expected. He entered the tower attack game for 2 hours and had been constantly running, but the flames didn't stop. Tang Mo realized that his physical strength was gradually declining. With his former physical strength, he would be exhausted after running for 20 minutes. Now he had been running for 2 hours and it was a race against the flames. It was very rare to be able to hold on. Tang Mo estimated his physical strength and said, "If I ran for 30 more minutes, I will definitely catch up to those animals. Catching up to them means they will soon be caught by Mosaic's fire." Things couldn't continue like this. Since entering the game, Tang Mo hadn't seen Mosaic. Mosaic should be hiding in the rear of the sea of flames. Grassland fires and forest fires often occurred on Earth. Such fires were deadly, even if the flames didn't have the causality effect of Mosaic's match. Stopping such fires required a lot of manpower and resources. The most common method was to make a fire break. They just said that Mosaic is setting fire to the prairie again. It shows that this isn't the first time Mosaic has done this. Tang Mo ran fast while thinking. Since there is experience, these black tower monsters must know how to resolve the problem. Yes, Tang Mo had never heard of this spirit prairie. When he arrived, he didn't have time to check the terrain and was forced to run from Mosaic's fire. At this point, his best bet was to follow the group of escaping animals. The latter had experience and would certainly know how to respond. 10 minutes later, Tang Mo gritted his teeth and cried out, "Their physical strength is better than mine." As his voice fell, a giant dog with brown markings jumped past Tang Mo. It just passed by Tang Mo when it seemed to discover something and looked back at Tang Mo with surprise. The dog muttered, an underground person? Or a human?" Then there was no time to think as it continued to run forward. First the dog overtook Tang Mo and then a few four-legged black tower monsters also surpassed him. This time it was Tang Mo's calculation error. These black tower monsters might truly know how to escape from Mosaic's fire, but their physical strength was much better than Tang Mo. Perhaps as long as they ran at full capacity for 4 hours, they could escape the flames and find a suitable fire break zone. However, Tang Mo couldn't last 4 hours. One after another, the black tower monsters gradually ran past Tang Mo. By the time the last golden rat ran through Tang Mo's legs, Tang Mo was at the rear of this group. The flames were 2 kilometers behind him while the black tower monsters ran far away and became black shadows. 3 minutes later, the black tower monsters disappeared. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed. The next second, he suddenly stopped and looked back. Tang Mo pulled out the small parasol, quickly recited a spell, pointed the tip of the umbrella at the ground and drew a large circle with a diameter of 10 meters. Then he squatted and didn't rest at all as he drew a big circle with a diameter of 20 meters in the same spot. By the time he finished the 2 concentric circles, the fire was 1 kilometer away. Tang Mo put away the small parasol and pressed his hands to the ground. He shouted and used all the strength he gained from a power-enhanced player. A black light flashed between his hands and Tang Mo grabbed the turf, pulling it hard. The circular lawn was pulled away. Tang Mo threw the turf away and 3 seconds later, the fire roared. Tang Mo sat in the center of these circles, holding the small parasol while looking at the fire with a blank expression. The flames bypassed the separation zones he made and continued to burn in front. The flames surrounded the circle made by Tang Mo. No one thought that as the fire was burning the spirit prairie, there would be a player sitting in the middle of the sea of flames and drinking water. 2 hours passed and the flames gradually became smaller. After another half an hour, the flames went out completely. As Tang Mo guessed, there was indeed a fire break zone on the spirit prairie. As long as you ran there, you could avoid Mosaic's fire. Tang Mo wanted to run there with the black tower monsters, but the situation changed. He could only make another choice and create a fire break himself. Without the black tower monsters, Tang Mo would have chosen this method in the first place. But there were the monsters, so he couldn't do it. Once he made a fire break zone, the black tower monsters wouldn't be facing Mosaic's fire but a fresh human player. It wasn't good to be surrounded by hundreds of black tower monsters. Thus, Tang Mo waited all the monsters were gone before making his own fire break. These black tower monsters are really a big stupid. Tang Mo wiped the sweat off his face. His skin was scorched by the fire and his body temperature exceeded 40 degrees. Once the fire went out, Tang Mo's body temperature gradually returned to normal. He finally had time to look around the environment. The entire spirit prairie was scorched black apart from the 10-diameter circle where Tang Missouri was standing. The fire set by Mosaic was good for Tang Mo. Without the fire, he would have faced hundreds of black tower monsters as soon as he entered the game. Tang Mo took a few more mouthfuls of water to moisten his dry lips. His hair was wet with sweat and stuck to his forehead. Tang Mo pushed his hair away from his forehead, put away the small parasol and looked around calmly. From the time he entered the game to the present, the Black Tower hadn't given any task tips. The fire scorched the earth of the prairie and every place looked exactly the same. Tang Mo looked at the sun's position and decided to head in the direction of the sun. This way, at least he wouldn't get lost. Tang Mo stepped on this scorched ground. Every 10 minutes that he walked, he carved a 5-pointed star on the ground as a marker. He walked for a long time and didn't see anyone. Tang Mo walked on such a scorching land and gradually felt the solace of his feet burning. He raised his feet and saw black marks on the bottom of his gelatinous shoes. Tang Mo thought for a moment before pulling out a pair of boots from his backpack. He took the sneakers off his feet, threw them to the ground and replaced them with the boots. They were the shoes that the iron shoemaker had repaired for Tang Mo. Once he put on these shoes, the hot ground no longer burned his solace. Tang Mo kept walking, marking his path along the way. Once he arrived at a burnt tree, he squatted and engraved the 135th mark. Tang Mo wiped the sweat on his forehead and was ready to get up when he suddenly became startled, a creepy chill coming from behind him. He turned his head quickly and looked behind him. On the blackened ground, a pair of small, black eyes were exposed above the soil, staring at him. Tang Mo's hand gripped the handle of the small parasol as he stared with vigilance. Soon, his attention was pulled to the side. The soil around the small eyes was gradually moving, as if something was going to run out. Tang Mo understood after a moment and ran. Boom! The dirt was lifted and a black bug leapt out of the ground. A sharp whistling sound emerged from its mouth and entered Tang Mo's ears, causing a pain in his brain. It felt like a thin needle was piercing his brain from his eardrum, causing Tang Mo to bite his lips. The tingling sensation made him wake up in an instant as he ran with all his might. As he ran, the sound of the soil constantly breaking was heard from behind him. Many small pairs of eyes emerged from the ground. Dozens of black bugs screamed sharply and Tang Mo's hands covered his ears as he jumped over obstacles and ran. Behind him was a dense group of bugs. He could cope with one bug but there were so many. Regardless of their strength, Tang Mo didn't want to face them. The unknown was dangerous. This was the 3rd floor of the Black Tower and the strength of any monster couldn't be underestimated. Tang Mo ran forward as hard as he could, jumping over hills and ravines. The bugs screamed as they wriggled their 8 legs and ran towards him. Suddenly, the wind behind Tang Mo was broken. Tang Mo subconsciously leaned to the side to avoid it and he rolled on the ground. Black liquid landed where he had just been located. The liquid splashed on the ground and corroded it in an instant. Tang Mo looked at the scene and his eyes slowly widened. Damn! Tang Mo turned and ran again. On the vast prairie, a small human ran with dozens of bugs following him. Tang Mo's physical strength wasn't as good as these Black Tower monsters. He ran for an hour before being caught by the black bug. The strong bug waved hard and hit Tang Mo's chest. Tang Mo reacted quickly by opening the small parasol to block. The black bug hit the small parasol and Tang Mo was knocked back. Tang Mo wanted to take advantage of this pushback force to run again but another giant bug stepped in front of him. Dozens of giant bugs soon surrounded him and Tang Mo looked at them calmly. The next moment, he opened his mouth and a severe storm emerged from it. The powerful hurricane caused these bugs to be blown away, opening a path. Tang Mo seized the opportunity to escape. It was expected that these strong winds could only make the bugs step back before they came again. Tang Mo bent over to escape a bug's leg and then another one waved. He opened the small parasol and kept dodging these bugs. There was a loud metal sound. There were so many bugs that Tang Mo found it more difficult to avoid. He kicked off the hard shell of a bug and jumped into the air. He moved his palm and a huge match appeared. Tang Mo slid the match head towards the shell of the bug. Tang Mo used the bug's body to ignite the big match. However, the match just touched the shell when Tang Mo's eyes became bigger and he looked at the match head with astonishment. A huge feet kicked Tang Mo into the air and he smashed into the ground. Tang Mo rolled the moment he fell to the ground. Mosaic's match couldn't ignite this bug. Tang Mo's heart instantly sank. He dodged the bug's attacks and their poison spit and thought about how to deal with them. All his abilities passed through his head. Based on the fact that the big match couldn't hurt the bugs, Tang Mo could only think of one thing. I can't use a fast man until the very last minute. Tang Mo flipped over and avoided a blow. On the prairie, dozens of bugs frantically surrounded and attacked a human. Tang Mo can only rely on his thin body to dodge. These bugs were strong and their shell was hard, but their shortcoming was obvious. They were just too big. It wasn't easy for them to catch the small human. The wind blew over the scorched land and not far away, a few pieces of dark soil slowly loosened. Before long, the earth was dug through and 2 huge heads emerged. They were 2 giant earthworms. They looked blankly at the battle in the distance, cocking their heads and making strange hissing sounds. Are the bugs killing an underground person? It is a human, a human. A human? Hey, the human is really miserable. The bugs will definitely eat him. The 2 big earthworms hissed to each other and planned to return to the ground, minding their own business. However, after burying their heads, they didn't leave. After a long time, the hisses came again. Why do I think that human is really cute? I want to save him. I want to save him too, hiss. On the other side, Tang Mo struggled to avoid the attacks of 2 bugs, the situation becoming urgent. He gritted his teeth and decided to use the fast man ability. He was just about to use the ability when there was the sound of digging at his feet. Tang Mo heard the sound and dodged to the side to avoid it. He hadn't escaped yet when the soil broke open again. Tang Mo was trying to escape. Who wouldn't expected a big head to throw him up? Tang Mo's eyes were stunned. By the time he recovered his spirit, he was already pressed against the back of the huge earthworm. The two big earthworms caught Tang Mo and turned their heads to escape under the ground. The bugs hadn't reacted yet and the earthworms were already a dozen meters away with Tang Mo. The bugs roared angrily and started to dig at the earth with their 8 feet. After a long time, all figures had disappeared on the prairie, leaving only dozens of holes in the ground. Tang Mo grabbed onto the large earthworm as the two earthworms rushed away while hissing. Tang Mo listened carefully but he couldn't understand what they were saying. He certainly didn't know that the two big earthworms were saying while digging, "Hey, he is so cute. Can't I carry him?" "Hiss, I am the one carrying him. Go away." A faint pink glow was flashing around their heads.